Hello, and welcome to this edition of On the Bench. I am your host, Catrina Padget, and I'm here with Dave Seaman. Now, Dave, the breaking news is that the National Hockey League Players Association has issued a realignment.
That's right. Realignment is finally a reality, or at least we're one step closer with the Players Association approving realignment, which means that we're one step away. The owners still have to put the rubber stamp on that, but that's going to happen because they were the ones that were really the ones that wanted this. But the good news is finally the Columbus Blue Jackets are moving to the Eastern Conference. They're going to play in the Atlantic Division. And are you ready for this? Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York, the Rangers and the Islanders, the New Jersey Devils, as well as Washington and Carolina. So now we're looking at a situation where, from a competitive standpoint, it's going to be great because the Blue Jackets will play 80% of their games in the Eastern time zone. But I'll tell you, when you're looking at that division, you're going to see obviously some of the top stars in the National Hockey League here in Nationwide Arena. Sidney Crosby from Pittsburgh, obviously Alex Ovechkin, the former captain, 61, Rick Nash. He'll be back several times a year. So finally some good news, and really it's something that's going to help the Blue Jackets be a far more competitive team.
Thursday night, the Blue Jackets won their third straight game.
Yeah, that's right. The Blue Jackets finally putting together a winning streak. We joked about it sort of after the game on Tuesday, and now they've won 3 in a row. They defeated Vancouver in overtime, 3-2. Matt Calvert with the game-winning goal on a beautiful individual effort, beat 2 defenders and went right in and was able to get the goal. But, this is just the cap-off of what's really been a great stretch of hockey for the Blue Jackets. 10 of their last 11 games have been one-goal games, and they really haven't received the fruit of their labor. They haven't gotten the results or the reward. But finally, it's starting to come together. They got the 3 straight wins, all 3 in overtime. Prior to that, they're now on a 5-game point streak. They're not nearly as close as Chicago is with their 20-plus games, but really, as we're now at the midpoint of the season, starting to see the chemistry that we knew would be there. And the other thing is that the Jackets are getting healthy. You at one point had 3 of the top centermen and 3 of your top defensemen out of the lineup, and at this point, the only 2 that are still out, Brandon Dubinsky, battling a knee injury. He should be back hopefully within the week. And then, unfortunately, the big one, though, is James Wisniewski. He's going to be out of the lineup probably until the middle of April because he has a broken foot or a broken bone in his foot. So, but the guys that have come in, for example, Tim Erickson, who, came over in the Rick Nash trade, has really stepped up. And, he's a guy that we thought would make the team out of camp, has finally come in and is showing that he deserves to be here.
And the Blue Jackets are going to be busy with the trade deadline coming up real soon.
Yeah, since we were with you last, there's been a change at the head, if you will, of the ship of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Of course, John Davidson, the president, firing Scott Housen about 3 weeks ago and brought in his guy, Jarmo Kekalainen, a guy who was with him in St. Louis. He's also been, with the Ottawa Senators. And, the big thing with Jarmo is he's a very detail-oriented guy. He's not interested in how they skate. He wants to learn about personalities. He wants to learn how these guys click. So the Blue Jackets are really clicking at the right time, trying to impress because, as you mentioned, the trade deadline now about 3.5 weeks away, and the trade rumors have already begun. I mean, if you listen to the internet, Jack Johnson's being traded to Pittsburgh, and Kekalainen kind of laughed that one off. So this is an important period coming up. We're at the midpoint of the season. We're now going into the second half of the season. In this shortened season, every game is magnified. So we're in a situation now where, Kekalainen's got, has already had 2 weeks. He's got about 3 more before that time to decide, okay, who's going to stay, who's going to go. But, I think the big asset of bringing in Jarmo Kekalainen is his draft history. I mean, when you look at the guys that he's drafted, and I'll just name 2, Marian Hossa, he's pretty good, Jason Spezza, current Blue Jacket, Nikita Nikitin, these are guys that he drafted throughout the years, both in Ottawa and St. Louis. So he's the guy that's got to come in and kind of steer the ship, especially with the fact that the Blue Jackets have 3 picks in the first round this year in this year's draft.
And the second part of the season will start off here at home.
Yeah, the Blue Jackets home and away with the Detroit Red Wings this season, and it's really unique because the Jackets and the Red Wings, they played 3 times. The Jackets have points in each of those 3 games, so it's great because if the Jackets are to get a point in one of those 2 games, then you're looking at the first time in franchise history that you're going to end up with points or a point streak or win the point series, if you will, with the Red Wings. But and then after that, you got Vancouver. But this is a key stretch coming up. We're now starting the second half of the season, and you're playing 9 of 10 at home. So this is really the time where you have to start getting the wins because as of right now, the Jackets are only 4 points out of the last playoff spot. I mean, so anyone who thinks that the Blue Jackets are dead, you're wrong, because they're not. And, you know, as we've kind of mentioned and we've kind of said all throughout the season, in a shortened season, it only takes one team to get hot. You look at what the Los Angeles Kings did. You know, they were battling the Blue Jackets for, you know, at the bottom, and they've strung together a bunch of wins in a row, and they're now in the top 8. So it's about putting together a streak. The Blue Jackets, like you said, they've got a 5-point streak going, and moving forward, like I said, you have to take advantage of these home games coming up, because after that, it's the exact opposite. You're going to play 7 of 12 on the road, you know, moving forward. So this is a key stretch as we move forward. But, you know, what we're seeing are some good things right now from the Blue Jackets.
Right. Thanks a lot, Dave. Well, make sure you check out the podcast at Columbus Wire. Thank you for watching Columbus Wire TV. I'm Catrina Padget, and this is Dave Seaman. We'll see you next time.